Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for March 30th, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. One thing that I'm watching here, we talked about before, that this rejection here could start to bring us back toward 2371. The previous session we were looking for any pullback here into or shy of 42s could still be a buying opportunity for 71s. So we've been poised higher. But one thing that is really striking me right now is the rejection of two-day highs. In overnight trading, price pushed above two-day highs, and there's been a sharp rejection. Bears are now defending off the previous session's high at 59.75 here in intraday trading. And when that happens early in the day like that, or overnight trading heading into RTH, there could be a tendency to drive lower and look for the low at the opposite end of the previous day's range. So we could be looking at a little bit more short-term weakness here. Again, that 42 level here, 42.75, that's going to be a very important level. So any pullback into that zone, bulls need to keep defended if 71s to 76s are going to be seen. Otherwise, failure to hold 42 starts to rotate this thing downward. There's a little bit of lower highs coming into play. We see this 2360 level starting to show some resistance and rejection. So this is an important inflection point in the chart, and I'm going to keep an eye on it because any failure here above 60 opens the door to pushing into 42 and perhaps running this thing to new lows. So 42s, again, the major pivot to watch. If we take a look at the intraday time frame, here we go. You can see the rejection that I'm talking about here. A big push up, there's the previous session's close, 56.75, a big rally into 62.5, and a big rejection, pullback, rejection. This is the previous session's high, absorption, and a continuation downward. So what we're seeing here is a major rejection of the previous session's highs, two-day highs to be exact, and that at the very least, opens the door to retesting the previous session's low. So 48.75 could still be ahead. Look to defend pullbacks for a continuation toward that target, at least on a short-term basis. Here's a look at crude oil. We'll bring up crude here in the higher time frame. We were talking about with crude that we had a triple bottom type of feel down below, but the real thing was if this thing was going to get higher, we needed to push through 48.42. That's the FOMC level. 48.42, 48.50 was the zone we were looking for a break to unleash some energy to the upside, and that's what we finally saw in the previous session. Price pushed very solidly through 48.80 after the EIA report and never really came back to it. What I mentioned in the room was any pullback to 48.80 could still be a great buying opportunity as this thing continues to push higher. But as long as price holds above 48.80, this thing was headed higher into the previous high here, and we finally got it. That's what we were talking about yesterday in our pre-market report, was retesting 49.70, which was this high. We got into 49.75 here already today. So we've now reached the top of the range here. There could still be more upside into 50.20 and 51.06 to get that midpoint of the key range. So there could still be some upside, but if we're going to fail, it would be in the zone here where we cannot hold above the 49.70 high. That would open up a return back to 48.40 and perhaps into 47s. So we're at the edge of the range right now. Bulls want to keep 49's bid for a continuation higher. All right, let's take a look at the intraday time frame. Here's a look at the intraday. On the intraday time frame, again, you can see we've had a big time rally up. Here's the 48.42 level. That's the level that was very important. It was defended, and you see a major rally. Here's the 48.80 level, a big push through it, and then it was every pullback was a buying opportunity for a continuation. After this rally, we're seeing a bit of a range form up at these highs, so we could see a little bit more digestion of this recent move, and any pullback toward 49s and even that 48.90 zone could still be a buying opportunity on a swing basis for a continuation above 50. Let's take a look now at the NQ. Here's a look at the NQ. The higher time frame NQ shows that we've had quite a push higher in the short term, and that's what we were looking for here. If you recall, this previous session, Monday here, was very, very unique the way it rejected. This behavior typically leads to new lows, and instead by the end of the day we'd closed higher. So pre-market on this day, I mentioned any pullback towards 61.75 offers a swing buying opportunity for a push into 54.40 and that high, to get a new high, and we saw that move materialize. So over the last couple of days, again, price came within 63s here, rallied big. I mentioned pullbacks into 95 to 54, again, could offer an opportunity up until we get that high. We got it today. So we've seen systematically how this thing has rallied. Now we got into the top of the range, 54.40. This is 40, this is 41, and this is 51, and we're rejecting these highs yet again. So this is going to be very important to watch at 54.41 because any pullbacks into that zone right now are currently being defended for a shot at seeing a return back within the range, and the range takes us down into 53.20. So right now we have a large trading range developing in the NQ, and typically after a rally and you see a range develop, you typically see new highs, new lows. So if this rejection is true, not only would we come across into recent support, but we would probably push down through it, widen the range, and bounce yet again. So this could be the beginning of what turns out to be another move down. It just depends on how price and how the market responds to this 54.40 price. All right, so looking at this thing on an intraday time frame, again, 54.40 is the big level, 54.41. And look at here how price pushes through at 54.41, the previous week's high, reaches a high of 54.51, drops back down, resistance, and continues. So this has been a clear rejection. So when I mentioned anytime price pushes into 54.41s here over the next several hours, this could be a zone where bears are defending for an eventual continuation back across the range. Lastly, let's take a look at the gold futures contract here, GC, in the daily time frame. We talked about before how price is forming an inside day 2 days ago, a double inside day yesterday, and now we have the super rare triple inside day, which never really happens. So this is going to be very, very interesting. 1250 is the key pivot here that bulls are defending at the moment. Any rejection of prices below 1250 could be a buying opportunity for a squeeze into new highs. I mentioned before that this is the last bit of this up move that we've talked about since 1205s. Remember, 1205s would run the stops back up the range, and so it has. But we haven't quite gotten the very tippy top of that range just yet, and pushing through 1250, or holding 1250 and pushing up through those highs here could give us that last ditch effort to kind of push to those highs. And if there's any rejection up here, it could be a swift move back to 1232s. So right now, 1250 is the pivot. Above that pivot implies more strength. We have a triple inside day, which is super tightly coiled price action. That suggests expansion soon. So we could be looking at expansion, at least on a 1 to 3 day basis. So something to watch for here. If we take a look at the intraday time frame, here we go. Again, super tightly coiled price action. Here's the price range again from Monday's range, and since then we've just kind of coiled up. So right now the outer range is 1247s and 1258s. That could be the fade the edges, and then outside of that range likely leads to expansion. All right, that's it for now with today's analysis. One quick thing, we will have a new monthly market outlook for April next Monday after the market close. It's also going to be the first day of the new quarter, so it's going to be an important session. It's open to everyone, so I'll see you Monday after the close. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.